From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Evening Edition.
Tonight may be a great night to look up into the sky and see something pretty rare. April's traditional pink full moon will be on display. And
no one likes to pay more in sales taxes, but the alternative is pretty bleak.
There's a tax hike going into effect in Oakland, making it the most expensive in the nation. We'll talk to you about that.
And Market Street will now be open to Waymos.
It's very easy for Waymos to brick, and when they do, it's just going to create confusion.
We'll have details on the exemption for Waymo.
And it used to be the Great Highway, now it's Sunset Dunes Park.
Welcome to Sunset Dunes!
By Sunset Dunes may return to the Great Highway on weekdays.
And live from the CBS studios in San Francisco, I'm Brian Hackney.
And I'm Andrea Nakano. Early voting is underway in Oakland with the mayoral race on the line, but another issue on the ballot could also have big consequences.
Voters also will weigh in on Measure A, a half-cent sales tax increase that would bring the city sales tax to the highest in the state. Oakland leaders say they need the new money to fill a large budget gap, but some voters tell Dial In is more complicated than that.
Nobody likes to pay more, but some Oakland voters feel like they have no choice but to tax themselves if they want a functioning city. Live music, sunny weather, and good vibes outside Open Mind Music on this National Record Store Day.
We have 20 people in the store right now. It's great.
But store owner Henry Wimmer fears a higher sales tax could have his cash register singing the blues.
I think that can have some weight, and that can mean that maybe a customer doesn't come back as frequently, or maybe they don't buy as much or as often.
On Tuesday, voters will decide whether to increase the city's sales tax from 10.25 to 10.75%. Oakland officials say the measure would generate $30 million annually for the general fund. The city was facing a $129 million budget deficit this fiscal year.
I voted yes because I think that we need more money to pay for valuable services here in town.
Longtime Oakland resident Al Floor says it took him nearly 40 minutes to reach a 911 dispatcher to report a burglary in progress. He fears even longer wait times if the city makes more public safety cuts.
I feel like we need to do it. I feel like no one likes to do it. No one likes to pay more in sales taxes, but the alternative is pretty bleak.
But other residents argue that Oaklanders already pay some of the highest taxes in the region, yet still lack basic services. They want the city to better manage the money it already has.
I'm gonna vote no. I believe the sales tax is way too high as it is.
Sarah Marth worries the increase would hurt low-income families and drive shoppers to make big purchases elsewhere.
When I want to buy a car or a larger purchase, I would avoid having it in this higher tax climate.
Henry says thriving small businesses benefit the city's bottom line. He understands the need for balance and says he's ready to adjust based on what voters decide.
We need more success, and hopefully the arrow points up. Through these difficult times, hopefully we can all come together.
If passed, Measure A would increase the sales tax for 10 years. Now, 10.75% would make it the highest in the state, matching nearby cities like San Leandro, Hayward, and Alameda, which are already at that rate.
All right, and we're going to switch from that to what everybody noticed today. What a beautiful day it was.
That's the thing about this is you're really going to notice tomorrow.
Yeah.
Today was so nice. You're like, oh, yeah, it's nice out. 70s. We're supposed to do this. Tomorrow, it's going to be 10 degrees warmer than this. That's why I'm visiting with you at this point in the newscast, just to give you a heads up. It's going to be a fantastic day tomorrow. But it will feel different when you are out there. Take a look at where we were for daytime highs today. A lot of low 70s showing up. Look at the color code on here. Now keep that wide view on the bay, because what we're going to do is say goodbye to today's numbers. We're going to transition the colors out, and we're going to change the color code for tomorrow. And you're going to notice there is a lot more deeper shades of orange on here. Come up to the North Bay. Look at the shades of orange up here. We can follow that around to the inland parts of the East Bay. And if we just do a little bit of math, how much warmer are you going to be tomorrow than you were today? Well, Santa Rosa, you're going to be about 10 degrees warmer. Nevada's going to be 6. Napa, your numbers are going up tomorrow. You're going to be about 10 degrees warmer tomorrow than you were today. And if we follow this down to the Tri-Valley, you'll do it. So will the Santa Clara Valley. I'll just show you what the numbers will be on this. Where will your daytime highs land tomorrow? Let's get everybody on here. So, great second half of the weekend. This doesn't last. I'll get back together again in the complete First Alert forecast, and I'll walk you through how we're very quickly going to go from this to start the week to the upper 60s for many of those inland valleys like 2 days later. More on that coming up in a bit. For now, guys, back to you.
All righty. Thank you, Darren. In the Sunset, controversy continues over the transformation of the Great Highway into a new park now named Sunset Dunes.
John Ramos has more on why the permanent closure of the highway may not be so permanent after all.
Well, that didn't take long. In November, voters approved Measure K to close the Great Highway to traffic. But at the time, there was no money or even a real plan for the park they wanted to replace it. Now, 5 months later, they're proclaiming it to be opening day.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Sunset Dunes!
That's the new name of the park, Sunset Dunes, chosen from suggestions sent in by the public. But that's not the only input the public had in turning what was, for about a century, a major vehicle corridor into a place to walk and ride bicycles.
That's what I voted for. I voted for a place that can be open because we just need more space for the kids to kind of just roam around, play around and stuff like that.
You know, the election happened, now it's a park, and we want this park to work for this community.
But it doesn't work for many living in the area. As a compromise, the highway had been closed on weekends since the pandemic, and neighbors complained that closing the road completely would make getting to their homes more difficult and throw weekday commute traffic onto their streets. Stephen Gorski has been a vocal critic of the plan to close the Great Highway permanently.
The park people basically put out a statement saying, I know everybody's had their differences about this, but now you have to come together and celebrate this with us. I'm not in the mood to celebrate this.
There is still a lot of anger over the citywide vote, and a small car caravan circled the block promoting a recall attempt against the area's supervisor, Joel Engardio, who came out in support of Measure K. But Sasha Pixley, who lives just a few blocks away, disagreed with the opponents.
They complain that traffic's a problem, and what are they doing? I mean, I think it's just very selfish. Yeah. Adding a little bit of time to your commute versus this, it seems a very easy trade-off.
But despite the festive turnout, the neighbors aren't giving up. They've filed a lawsuit over the way Measure K was put on the ballot, and a court hearing is scheduled for June 3rd, which may be why opening day was rushed into place, even though Sunset Dunes still has no funding, and except for one new piece of art, plans for the park are simply concepts.
And that's what's so silly. Why did they rush? They're going to have a decision in less than 2 months. If the lawsuit wins and the judge says Prop K was illegal, then it has to be reverted to the compromise. And I think they're trying to think we're stupid, that they're going to say, well, we spent all this money and put art and did everything. No.
Despite the objections, the voters have spoken. And as the city scrambles to create a park, a judge will have to decide whether putting a halt to it is worth overturning an election.
Since we're on the subject of highways, this is a much bigger one, of course. The Richmond-San Rafael bridge will soon be without toll booths, and it could speed up the commute. The booths, which have been empty since the pandemic, will be removed and replaced with an overhead structure that processes tolls electronically. Lanes will also be redone on the Contra Costa side to prevent that bottleneck, or at least cut it down a little bit, the bottleneck effect that happens when 3 lanes get cut down to 2. The MTC says construction is expected to begin in the next few weeks. Andrea?
And San Francisco's car-free stretch of Market Street will soon be opening to Waymos. It's all part of Mayor Daniel Lurie's effort to bring the city back to life, but it's already being met with pushback. Our Kelsey Thorne spoke to several people who worry the decision will cause more harm than good.
Currently, this section of Market Street is only open to Muni buses, trains, and taxis. But Mayor Daniel Lurie announced that he's going to allow Waymo autonomous vehicles to start driving on this section of Market Street. Not everybody, though, is excited about that. We spoke with cyclists, pedestrians, and public transit riders who have a problem with it.
Because people bike here all the time, whether they're going to Valencia Street.
Christopher White is the executive director of the San Francisco Bike Coalition. He says he wasn't too happy when he heard Mayor Daniel Lurie's announcement that Waymo will soon be allowed to drive on the portion of Market Street closed off to cars.
This, we think, sends things in the complete wrong direction.
Christopher, along with representatives from Walk SF, Kids Safe SF, and SF Transit riders, worry allowing Waymo onto Market Street will just add to safety concerns.
Market Street, before it was car-free, was also the most dangerous street in San Francisco. And since cars were taken off of it, injury crashes have dropped by 40%, which is huge.
Christopher also told us he's worried the autonomous vehicles could create roadblocks and traffic jams for folks riding Muni buses and trains.
No, it's obvious from our experience here in San Francisco that it's very easy for Waymos to brick, and when they do, it's just going to create confusion, unsafe conditions. We don't know how it would affect emergency response. We're concerned about that as well. We just think that this is a bad idea all around.
In his announcement, Mayor Lurie said Waymo would complement the existing transportation options on Market and help bring more people into the area, supporting local businesses and helping to revitalize the city's downtown. Carlos Hernandez is the co-founder of Coffee Bodega Off Market. He told us he's all for having Waymo on the street.
Bringing Waymo down to Market will bring more foot traffic onto the Market Street, especially in the downtown area, where we've been struggling a lot to see people return to work. And this could promote people to come back to work.
Christopher, though, is skeptical. He doesn't believe more cars will mean more people. He says the city should focus on making Market Street a can't-miss destination. That's what he believes will really bring people back.
Having festivals, having night markets. I think that creating entertainment zones, which the mayor recently did, is a great idea. Giving people reasons to go to Market Street is the thing that's going to bring Market Street back to life. It's not cars.
Now, despite the pushback from people like Christopher, the mayor says that Waymo employees will be allowed to map this section of Market Street in the coming days. They expect to be able to get passengers into cars being able to be picked up and dropped off from Market Street by this summer.
All righty, Kelsey. Well, the pink moon is going to be out tonight, but sorry to disappoint, it's not actually pink. How it did get that name, coming up next. Welcome back. Tonight, we are thinking pink. Might be a great night to look up into the sky and see something. Well, it's not that rare, really. April's traditional pink full moon. I mean, we get a full moon every April, so on once a year. They call it a pink moon. Here's a time lapse of phases of the moon, which tonight will be full. We did spend some time with a scientist at the Exploratorium who gave us a quick lesson on full moon names, and he tells us pink moon is named after the pink blossom of the phlox flower. And Dre's never heard of the phlox flower that blooms in early spring, but despite its name,
it's not going to appear pink to your eyes. It's not even any pinker to instrumentation any more than a blue moon appears blue. And a blue moon, by the way, is when there's 2 full moons in 1 month. And the second one is called a blue moon. Doesn't happen very often. That's why it's once in a blue moon.
Which is not what's happening tonight. He says every month has a traditional full moon name, typically derived from Native American names. Next month's full moon will be the flower moon. Tonight's is the pink moon. You know what? At moonrise, could be pink, because it is every full moon.
Yeah.
This is close to the horizon.
Yeah, it could be. So we'll have to Get an eyewitness account on that one. Yeah. Set your
Let us
alarm.
know.
Let us know. I'll go out and check it out.
All right. It's going to be beautiful out there for the next couple of days. And today was nice. We're talking about the warm-up. I checked in on that early in the newscast just to show you how tomorrow's going to feel different. You're going to be about 10 degrees warmer for the daytime high tomorrow. That would be Sunday. Let me get out of the way of the rest of these. Check out the whole 7-day forecast. We're going to stay there on Monday. And then we are going to cool down again. It's not like a dramatic cold snap, but interesting how when we get to Wednesday, the numbers are back down into the 60s. I mean, that's a pretty noticeable drop. You're going from the mid-80s for the next 2 days, and then by the middle of the week, you're back down into the low 60s. I'll show you the forecast for the Bay coming up in a second. Before I get to that, just a little bit of background on what is about to happen. How are we going to do that? And to do that, we're going to go out and check out the view in the Pacific. There's a weak little system out here. Kind of hard to even see it, really. It's right at about here, and you don't, nope. Right at about that way, out in the Pacific. And you don't even really see a thing that shows up, even when you look at the satellite in a couple of different ways. But if you do look at it on the water vapor, you can see it. See that little spin out there? Very subtle little spin in the water vapor. That's an area of low pressure that over the next, 3 days, it's going to work its way towards us and spin itself right over us. And you can see it in the futurecast. Watch what happens. Seemingly out of nowhere, on Tuesday, you're going to see the clouds increase, kind of coming up from the south here, and then you see some showers over the Sierra, like they just appeared out of nowhere. But of course, now we know it was that weak little spin that's sitting out there, very weak little area, low pressure, that's going to get pulled over the state. Couple of things will happen here. It's going to be beautifully sunny tomorrow and Monday. And then on Tuesday, while we're not getting rain, that's reserved for the Sierra. We are going to see the clouds increase. That's why the 7-day had those cloudier days right through the middle of it. And Tuesday, Wednesday, the temperatures are coming down as a result of that. One other thing, speaking of the clouds, tomorrow morning, not going to be a lot to this, but watch what happens as we take a look at the futurecast depiction on where we're going to develop just a little bit of fog that's going to show up through the North Bay. So I'll play that forward and you'll see just a little bit on here. Come up here actually into Napa, right there, little patch shows up. This is around 7 a.m. tomorrow. It's going to be real localized, but when you start your day on Monday in the North Bay, specifically for Napa Valley, you might notice just a few clouds on there, and that'd be about it. Those are the headlines. Let's get into that 7-day forecast. So you've seen the warm-up. We've looked at this already. So I'm going to switch this out. We're not going to be in the mid-80s in the Bay, but San Francisco, as you saw earlier in the newscast, daytime highs are going up into the low 70s. Tomorrow, it's low 60s in the city today. Tomorrow it'll be low 70s, and that means in general for much of the rest of the Bay, I think like Peninsula, East Bay Shore, those numbers will be in the mid-70s. And then you can see the cool down here, and then a warm up. We are going to warm back up again as we get towards next weekend, but probably not as nice as tomorrow and Monday will be.
From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Evening Edition.
And welcome back. Oakland voters have just 3 more days to cast their vote for the city's special election.
The biggest issue on the ballot, who's going to lead the city? The top 2 contenders, former Congresswoman Barbara Lee and former City Council member Lauren Taylor. We spoke with both candidates on why they're the best pick for the job.
Days ahead of the special election, former Congresswoman Barbara Lee and former Oakland City Council member Lauren Taylor are making their final pitch to voters and members of the Interfaith Council of Alameda County.
Top priorities, of course, public safety, housing, affordability, our unsheltered population, good governance, and economic development and jobs.
Now is our moment to reclaim our city, to respond with the urgency that is needed to turn things around so we stop losing residents, our businesses, revenues.
In a race that at times has been reduced to attack ads, many groups like the Oakland branch of the NAACP hope the focus will remain on the issues facing the city.
The mudslinging, the accusations, the hearsay is all a distraction. Ranked choice voting is already complicated. And so we want to make the process as simple as possible. We want to move away from the negativity.
Dr. Dee Morris of the NAACP says both candidates are lifelong members. Therefore, they've decided to not make an official endorsement. but the group remains optimistic.
We are hopeful that the future will be bright, but there is work to do.
That work includes accounting for a nearly $130 million budget shortfall.
We can have good paying jobs in the new green economy. And I would want Oakland residents and our businesses to help me with the Port of Oakland.
Along with improving public safety and a decades-long crisis in Oakland, homelessness.
And make sure that we make measurable progress that is sustained as opposed to re-encountering the same problems and challenges year after year after year.
Both candidates working to sway voters, addressing alleged shortcomings head-on. Taylor is squashing what he says are rumors about outsider contributions to his campaign.
All of our contributions are publicly available. Almost 80% of our funding is coming from individuals right here in Oakland. These lies about corporations and outsiders, it's not true.
And Lee addressing critics that say she is an establishment candidate.
Those who say that I'm part of the establishment, they don't understand what cooperation, building coalitions, they don't understand what you need to do to bring people together to solve problems and how to build consensus.
As the city prepares to choose its next leader, both candidates hope that they can be the catalyst for change in Oakland.
While across the country, hundreds of students are seeing their visas revoked, including here in the Bay Area. From Stanford down to UC San Diego, California schools are being targeted. Berkeley has now seen nearly 20 of its students and recent graduates affected, with San Francisco State and Cal State East Bay also impacted. More than 100 students across Californian schools have seen their visas revoked in just the last week. DEI policies are also under pressure at California schools, with universities shuttering those programs in fear of losing federal funding. We heard from 2 Cal students who agreed with the decision.
Miguel Muniz and Martin Berteo are passionate about their political affiliation as Republicans on the Berkeley campus. Muniz did not support Trump initially.
I was always like, I never Trump, I hate Trump, because I grew up in a small migrant town, lots of illegal immigrants.
The Trump administration's broader focus to go back to focusing on a meritocracy is certainly where our culture needs to be.
They say they've been accosted and even assaulted while tabling on campus and sharing their views. Muniz applauds the UC's decision to end the use of diversity statements.
Growing up as a Latino and as someone who was probably by definition low income, especially when I was younger, I grew up and I saw like all the obstacles that were in my way, none of them were race-based.
Diversity statements typically ask applicants to describe how they would contribute to diversity. Supporters say it makes campuses more inclusive, but critics say it does the opposite. Brian Socek, a law professor at UC Davis, had hoped university leaders would have taken a bolder stance.
My main concern is the way in which this sudden announcement has come about.
Socek points to a hiring freeze across the UC system as a mitigating factor. He's more concerned about the symbolic aspects of shifting away from a university policy decades in the making.
Suggesting, at least, that these are values that we're willing to compromise on in the face of the attacks that the Trump administration is lodging right now. That, I think, will really reduce the amount of cover on other schools, other universities that aren't in the kind of protected place that the University of California is.
The UC system is bracing for a state budget cut of 8%. The Trump administration has threatened to take away federal funding and has targeted several UC schools, including Berkeley.
I think if push comes to shove, if this attempt at appeasement doesn't work, as I don't think it will, I think the University of California is going to stand up for its values and its mission in the end. I think it'll just see that there's no other choice.
Hopefully we can move towards a culture where we look at things that actually matter and ignore things that don't, like race, sexuality. You know, the things that we all agree shouldn't be important.
The debate over DEI initiatives persists. Muniz and Berteo believe a shift to hear more of the California Republican perspective is real.
The Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta Holiday Parade and Festival took place today in San Francisco to honor 2 legendary labor leaders who fought for fair working conditions. One attendee noted why it was important for celebrations like these to continue.
I think right now it's more important than ever to show the diversity that workers bring, whether you're a woman, a person of color. We need to show that the working class are the people who move this country and the power that we have when we come together as one.
And performers moved from Dolores Park to the festival on 24th Street, where parade goers could enjoy live entertainment, a classic car show, and arts and crafts.
Coming up next, federal cuts at food banks is forcing one South Bay woman to ditch her retirement plans.
I didn't have a cruise booked or anything like that.
Plus, how this car dealership is helping folks fire at all cylinders.
Makes me feel creative and helps me kind of get out of my funk at home.
The hot new spot to get some work done. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Running a food bank has never been easy, but with drastic cuts to federal funding coming from the White House, it may soon be really hard. One woman in the South Bay is delaying her retirement to keep up the fight. Len Ramirez has got her story.
Well, the long lines for food distribution here at Sunnyvale Community Service is one indication of the dire need that remains in this community. In fact, some people say it's only getting worse, and that's a big reason why the executive director of this organization has postponed her retirement.
Whoops.
After 71 years and 2 successful careers in tech and nonprofits, Marie Bernard was planning to finally step down and retire in 2025. But with the tanking economy, cuts to social services, and food insecurity on the rise, Marie says now is no time for her to coast off into the sunset.
I didn't have a cruise booked or anything like that. This is my life's work, one way or the other.
So she canceled her retirement to help her organization serve their clients at a time of need.
In my heart, I felt this was the thing to do now. And given all the changes that are happening, the safety net is being shredded right now. And I have a calling to do something about that. And this seems like it's the best place for me to be right now.
Marie has led Sunnyvale Community Service for 15 years. It provides a range of services, including health screening, job and school readiness, emergency financial aid, and of course, food and nutrition. On this day alone, the organization and an army of volunteers gave out more than 1,400 bags of food.
We do like to give them some protein. This week it's frozen turkey.
Ariana Quintero's family was once a food bank recipient. Now she works here serving others.
It helped us through very tight moments.
But looming federal cuts could shift billions in food assistance costs to California and other states, potentially jeopardizing what food banks can provide. And widespread layoffs in the federal departments are being felt right here.
It was already hard to navigate the systems. They weren't always perfect. In fact, we knew they were very imperfect. Now they're not there. And so we've gone from imperfect to nothing for a lot of our clients. And there's also a lot of fear. The chaos is, I think, really going to perpetrate a lot of people falling through the cracks.
It all added into Marie's decision to stay on and use her decades of experience to guide the agency through turbulent times. But one thing she knows for sure, her work is making a difference for people like Martha Mejia.
Do you need the help right now?
Yes,
why?
Because it's very lot price. There's no more money. This is for help for family. Thank you. For my son, for my child, thank you so much.
Being involved in the community is something that I will cherish and do as long as I can.
And so Marie plans to stay on while still working with her organization to plan for the day when she will step down. Unfortunately for her own retirement plans, she doesn't think that day will come anytime soon.
Coming up in the First Alert forecast, it is going to feel a bit different tomorrow. Those color contours in the South Bay in the inland valleys in the North Bay. You get into orange, that's 80s. There is a 10-degree jump in temperatures coming for the second half of your weekend compared to where you just were today. It was nice out there today, but tomorrow you're going to step outside and notice things are a bit different. I'll talk to you about how long that's going to last coming up in the forecast.
Recovery efforts are still underway in Myanmar after last month's devastating 7.7 magnitude earthquake rocked the South Asian country. Community members in Millbrae are hosting a fundraiser this weekend to help with recovery efforts, selling traditional Burmese dishes to raise money.
We want to show community unity here. Do we support? So wherever any other country that needs help, Lion is there to help them out.
All donated funds will go to local rescue teams and volunteer groups assisting those impacted in Myanmar.
Well, back in the Bay Area, we had a beautiful day today, and it sounds like it's all up and down.
Yeah.
Ahead.
First up, for like the next 2 days, like 10 degrees warmer than today.
Wow.
Right.
And then by the middle of the week, there's this weak thing coming through. No rain. It's not going to rain, but we are going to cool, like cooler than today. Let me walk you through this in order. Here's today in color-coded formation. This is what the daytime highs look. Let me put the numbers on here. You get into the yellows, you're looking at numbers that are pretty much 70s, and that's what we've got. I've just picked out some of the representative spots for today. I'm going to get everybody's number on here to show you what your daytime highs are like for tomorrow. But for today, we were all pretty much low 70s. So I'm going to clear that out. We'll say goodbye to today's daytime highs. And now we're just going to color code the map for tomorrow. And you see a lot more orange on here. And if we put the difference on here, look at the numbers, how much, just this, for right now, this is just how much warmer you're going to be before I show you everybody's daytime highs. We're going up 10 degrees tomorrow in the North Bay. Both Santa Rosa will do it. Napa's going to do it. We'll see the temperature for Concord go up by about 10 degrees. Look at the number here for the Tri-Valley. You're going up 10. All of these inland areas are well into the orange. You're going to be 11 degrees warmer in San Jose. San Francisco is going to be 11 degrees warmer. What does this mean? Where will you actually be for daytime highs? You're going to 80 tomorrow in San Jose. You're going to 80 in the Tri-Valley. I think one of the numbers that will probably also get a lot of attention is this one here. When you go to the low 70s in San Francisco, that is a noticeably nice day, especially considering you're about 62 today. So Sunday's definitely different, and I think by a lot of people's measure, nicer. And you can see that band of orange working its way up through the North Bay. All right, after we do that, I should say before we do that, let me clear off the daytime highs. There's one other minor issue with tomorrow. Not going to be a lot of it, but watch the Futurecast depiction of this overnight. We are going to pull in just a little bit of fog. And when you wake up tomorrow morning, most notably through Napa, there's just this isolated little patch. It's been interesting to see this in all the high-resolution forecast models. There's this consistency of a little bit of patchy, low stratus cloud developing here in Napa. I don't know that it'll necessarily be fog on the ground, but just be aware tomorrow morning you will have a little bit of marine layer gray, pretty much just for that one isolated part of the bay. Everybody else should be doing okay. All right, after we get through the spike in temperatures over the next 2 days, there's this little dip in the numbers that's going to show up. So we'll leave behind the beauty of today. Take a look at the satellite. You don't really see much out here till you look at it on the water vapor, and now you do. It's really subtle. See that little counterclockwise spin right there? Doesn't look like much. There's another one here. These two and then another one are going to work together to give us a weak little area of low pressure that comes through in the middle of the week. You'll see it now when we watch the Futurecast. On Tuesday, out of nowhere, big blanket of cloud shows up. There's a little bit of rain in the Sierra. They might even get some snow at the higher elevations. We are not getting any rain out of this here in the Bay. But Tuesday, right through the middle of the day, all of a sudden, clouds show up. Temperatures start to nosedive. You'll see it in the 7-day forecast. It's not a cold snap, But after being in the low 80s today and tomorrow, many of those inland valleys will fall down to the upper 60s. And so it's a noticeable little, very characteristic spring roller coaster ride. Let me put it in the 7-day forecast. You'll see what that looks like. We'll start out by taking a look at our warmest microclimate, the inland valleys. And of course, we've discussed this. Tuesday, we take that dip by about 15 degrees. You stay there Wednesday, and then there will be a little bit of a rebound to get us into the end of next week. And as we approach next weekend, and here are the numbers in the Bay, you'll go down to the mid-60s there. All right, guys, back over to you.
All righty, Darren, thank you. Coming up, why some new offices in San Francisco now come with an odometer.
Now you can get your KPIX news, weather, and live stream all in one place on the CBS News app. Download it free today.
Welcome back. Working from home doesn't always exactly mean that you're working from home. For some, it means trekking out to a cozy coffee shop or maybe going to the library.
For others, especially here in the Bay Area, it could mean working from an electric car dealership, our Itai Hot explains.
You could say 33-year-old Stephanie Cowan is going places, but not in this car. Instead of hitting the road, she's hitting send from the back seat of an electric SUV parked smack dab in the middle of a car dealership.
It makes me feel creative and helps me kind of get out of my funk at home.
Cowan is a photographer. Her go-to editing spot, a 6-figure floor model.
Yesterday I felt amazing. I got so much work done and I was like, great, I'm going to go back again today and I'm going to get these edits in.
Welcome to San Francisco's hottest new co-working space, also known as the Rivian Showroom. No fees, no chatty baristas, just peace, power, and plenty of legroom. Are you getting work done?
Yes. Well, right now I'm not because we're doing an interview.
Anthony Amador, Rivian's sales manager, says they had the extra space and figured, why not put it to good use?
Rather than just have some plain boring showroom, this is a place where you can interact and engage.
Is the hope that people might also buy cars while they're here?
Sure, I mean, we're not going to discourage that.
And they're not alone. From Google to Lululemon to Patagonia, brands are reimagining retail, turning stores into gathering spots, community hubs, or what sociologists call third places. Not home, not work, but something in between. Dr. Gwendolyn Pourfoy is an urban sociologist at the University of Notre Dame. She says third places build goodwill and keep the brand top of mind even when no one's buying.
Now the name of these companies are in the mouth of folks who are talking about it every day and not just when they're going to make a large purchase.
As for Cowan, it's a way to get her work done without the pressure of buying that second or third cup of coffee.
Coffee shops have made that very clear, right? This is not a place to work. This is a place to have coffee and leave.
Perhaps the only downside, the occasional pop-in from a stranger looking to test drive your office.
And there have been plenty of iconic characters in opera, from Madame Butterfly to Carmen, traditionally performed in either Italian or French, but a new opera from Opera San Jose introduces a new icon, Zorro, actually an old icon, in 2 new languages, both Spanish and English.
We had a chance to check out the rehearsal before the curtain goes up next week.
There's sword fights and all kind of fights and drama. It's a very meaningful piece for all of us. First of all, happens here in California, which is very unusual.
It is an American opera that is written on a Latino-American story.
The first show is set for next Saturday, and tickets are available on Opera San Jose's website. And today was the first day of the 58th Annual Northern California Cherry Blossom Festival in San Francisco, a celebration of Japanese culture, and it included live music and food in Japantown. And the festival runs for 2 weekends, and it culminates with a grand parade on April 20th.
Kind of enjoy those little moments of silence.
The moments of silence.
Contemplate the blossom.
Well, you know, that's what they do in Japan. They sit
do.
underneath a tree and watch the...
You spent time in Japan.
Well, I grew up there, yeah.
That's spending time.
That's spending time.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here at 11 for more news.
Until then, our coverage continues streaming on CBS News Bay Area. Good night.